6 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and call the open session of the May 10th Colfax City Council meeting to order, and we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can we start with a roll call, please?
Councilmember Roman is absent. Councilmember Ackerman.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Douglas.
Present.
Mayor Burse.
Present. All right, we'll move to approval of the agenda order. Do we have any changes to the agenda this evening?
No.
All right, seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda order.
I move that we approve it. A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving to consent. All items on consent are considered routine and non-controversial in nature. Anybody may pull an item from consent for further discussion. Otherwise, we'll move on one blanket motion. Would anybody like to pull an item from consent? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, consent passes. Moving to agency reports, starting with Placer County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is John Tanaromi. I'm a deputy with the Placer County Sheriff's Office. And I first want to mention that this week is Law Enforcement Memorial Week. So Sergeant Griffiths couldn't be here because he is involved in some things down at the Capitol. I have our stats for April. Spring is here, so it got a little busier. In the city of Colfax, we had 177 calls for service, 36 reports drafted. Of those 177 calls, we had 16 transient related calls, 17 suspicious activity calls, 10 were disturbances, 16 were alarm calls. We made 26 traffic stops, issued 1 citation, and made 14 arrests. If you step outside of the city to include the entire Colfax beat, the Charlie beat, those numbers change a little bit. We've had 394 total incidents with 60 reports drafted, 26 transient related calls, 34 were suspicious activity, 32 disturbances, 19 alarms, 54 traffic stops, and 22 arrests. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer?
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
CHP.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Officer Jason Lyman with Gold Run CHP. I do have a few stats for you this time, as Councilman Douglas asked for last time. I just brought in for so far this month in May, we have handled 13 traffic accidents. Of those 13, 7 were injury collisions, 6 were non-injury collisions, and 2 of those involved DUI. We also had 1 other felony arrest involving a stolen vehicle. We also, and just in the last few days, we had the little bit of weather that we had several of those accidents happen in the last few days. Just people driving a little too fast in the weather, and also 1 in particular had extremely bald tires on their vehicle, and they got a little bit of wet weather on the road, and they were not able to control their vehicle, and that was a cause for that. So that's just something for me to remind everybody that good maintenance on your vehicle and tires is very important. Even though it's not snowing right this moment, just a little bit of water on a little bit of slush on the road can cause a lot of problems if you have a non-operative vehicle. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, Placer County Fire Department, CAL FIRE.
Madam Mayor, Council members, Bob Counts, Assistant Chief with CAL FIRE, Placer County Fire Department. In April, Placer County Fire Department responded to 871 incidents. Colfax Station 30 had 79 calls for service, 56 of those being within the Colfax city limits. Company 36, our volunteer company, responded to 14 of those incidents for about 25% of the calls for City of Colfax. During our last warm stretch we had about 10 days ago, we started seeing an increase in escaped control burns. They were all stayed fairly small, but that we are starting to experience those. We are starting to experience, with the nicer weather, medical rescue calls on Stevens Trail. I believe we had 2 weekends ago. So those are increasing. We've also seen an increase in water rescues down near the confluence and all along the river. And we're aggressively starting a campaign alongside the OES and our sheriff's office about the cold, fast water for this season. Our fuels for wildland season is roughly 30 days behind schedule at this point due to the wet weather. And if it pleases the council, I'd like to give a presentation at the next meeting, about 15 minutes, about seasonal fuels and weather outlook for the fire season. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, do we have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, nonprofits. Do any of our nonprofits want to make a report this evening? Come on up, Foxy.
Foxy McCleary, 127 Sanders Lane. There is a breakfast with the VFW on Sunday from 8 to 11. And then there's going to be a crafts fair at the Sierra Vista Community Center from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they've got the whole inside of the main hall filled, and also people on the outside. So it should be a really beautiful crafts fair. Also, the flea market will still happen on the 26th. The 20th, that will still happen. Also, I forgot to tell you, at the breakfast, mothers are free at the BFW breakfast. So bring your mom. We even do blueberries in the pancakes now and have. Also, we are going to be doing a ceremony at the Colfax Cemetery, the Indian Cemetery in the Weimar on the 29th, which is Memorial Day, and we'll have the flags out. So if anybody wants to come to that, it's the 29th. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other nonprofit reports?
Well, I think we do. Kim Douglas, Ambassador, Chamber of Commerce, since nobody's here. There was a ribbon cutting at the yoga. It's by the gazebo, and that was well attended. And then on Saturday at the community center, because it was rained out outside, was Cinco de Mayo, and that was well attended also. That's it.
Thank you.
Both were well attended.
All right, well, with that, we'll move into public comment. This is the section of the agenda for anyone to make a comment on items that are not listed on tonight's agenda. Does anybody have any public comment this evening? Come on up to the podium.
My name is Roy Johannesson. I'm actually a Weimari. I'm just over the line there, but I feel an affinity. What can I say? I grew up in a small town. You guys don't have a red light. I like that. I'm a retired engineer and a retired faculty member, and my background is power and energy, renewable energy, solar, wind, and energy efficiency. I did that within the university system. I did that for utilities. why I'm here right now is I'm here in a grant writing capacity because the federal government has passed $5 billion of money that they're laying out to communities all across the country for clean school buses. So as a part of that, this year, right now, there is now an open RFP, a request for proposals for $400 million worth of grant money. All right. And so there's a big scramble for this money. So I would like to help the city of Colfax get $10 to $20 million worth of this. Now that can either be as the lead dog in this or in partnership. And anyway, there's a lot to discuss about that. I don't want to get into a whole lot of details, except to say that I attend the weekly. There's a lovely little Wednesday morning political brunch thing or lunch thing, a breakfast thing. And as an outcome of that, that's really why I'm here, because the idea was generated there and we discussed it there. And I would like the opportunity to help you guys find this money. I've really got no dog in this, except if we get the grant, maybe so. But I really want to do this because it's a good idea. The way this proposal can work is that the buses can serve the schools during the weekdays and serve the city during the weekends. And how they're configured, they can basically be charging stations, the buses themselves. So again, I don't want to go into details, but I would really like to work with you guys to see if we can make this happen. I would love to speak to the city attorney about some of the particulars and just to see if there's a good fit, because from what I've seen so far, it does fit. And why not get $10 to $20 million worth of money and get some economic activity going? The partnership would be between the city, the schools, and possibly a third-party provider. The third-party provider, are basically an entity that builds buses or leases buses or operates buses as opposed to the school system owning and operating. So there are ways to do this, but anyway, I'm just telling you who I am and what I'd like to do for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, do we have any other public comment this evening?
Madam Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Jim Dion, 233 Highway 174. And I know this is public comment, but there's some people that are curious in town as exactly how we replace the council member that's gone. And I don't know if you'll be able to tell me that now or not.
So when we get to item 8A, we're actually going to get into that in quite a bit of detail.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda today.
I didn't see that.
So, no, I just wanted to throw that out there because that's a great opportunity. If you actually have questions and need some back and forth clarification, we can get into that during that item.
Perfect, thanks.
Awesome. Now, do we have any other public comment this evening?
Evening, council and mayor and everyone else. So I just want to hand something out real quick to the staff, to the council and staff. So if I can do that. Yeah.
Need a de-staker.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Not to waste anybody's time, I'll start talking. So, the article that has the yellow writing on it is an article that is from the Desert Sun. It was an interview with Lori Ajax, who was the head of the cannabis, Department of Cannabis Control. And it was done on, it was published November 30th and updated November 30th, 2017, updated January 1st, 2018. And the question was, will all medical dispensaries go recreational? And the answer is no. For one thing, not every dispensary open today will be granted a temporary or annual license to sell recreational pot, in part because some dispensaries operate without the blessing of their local government. To get a temporary license, retailers have to show that the BCC that they have permission to operate from their home city. The main thing is they have to have that local approval, Ajax said. Once dispensaries have the proper paperwork, usually a permit of some kind, the BCC can go back to the city to check that it is valid. Second, dispensaries already selling medicinal marijuana can choose whether they want a medicinal license, an adult use license, or both, provided the shop labels its merchandise A for adult, M for medicinal, and keeps the separate transactions records. This is what we based the future of our business on, was that up and coming, the facts of the ordinance of Prop 64. And if you look at the other pieces of paper that are, you can go on the website today, you can go on DCC's website, you can look all this up by city, by county. And if you look at Marin County on Fairfax, it has a medical only designation for the retailer. And if you look at Colfax, it doesn't. So that's what the state has interpreted the laws of Colfax as of February 2023 of this year. And that's why there's a problem with me accepting your guys' decision to not allow us to sell adult use. I don't think it's legal. I don't think you have the right to address us in a way that changes the definitions and had it rewritten and to where it made us non-compliant with the local regulations. We probably should have caught it earlier, and we've been saying this the whole time, but we were under the understanding that we were dealing with, the type of people that we deal with as customers. So in the cannabis business, traditionally, your customer is your best friend. These are your friends. You go to their homes, you grab dinner. These are your friends. You treat these people with the utmost respect because, for one, you don't want to get arrested, you go to jail because it was illegal. And it was just a friendship thing, a trust thing. And so when we are dealing with a new city regulation and we go to trust the staff and to be straight up with this, that's not what happened. And the fact that if you look at other counties that have a real bad cultivation problem, like in Siskiyou County, where they have hundreds of illegal, semi-illegal grows, the only way to get rid of that, to absorb that, is to allow the licensed retailers to sell adult use recreational to help absorb the illicit market. And same old thing here, just trying to, public safety and all that. And that's all for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment this evening? Anything online?
We do have one comment online from Alyssa Egan. She states the residents of Cape Horn would like to be assured that the emergency exit eastbound I-80 between Colfax and Secret Town will remain accessible to emergency vehicles. We would like signs to indicate that the exit is for emergency vehicles only. No parking on both sides of the fence. This exit saves 8 minutes for emergency services to save lives and fight fires. We understand that we should probably make comment at Placer County BOS. There is some confusion about what agency is responsible for this exit.
That's great feedback. We'll definitely have to take that back and come back with an update. Thank you. Any other public comment?
Be a good first.
Hi, Officer Jason Lyman, Gold Run CHP. The Caltrans would be the people that would be in charge of that gate. I know they have done maintenance and different things on that particular gate. So that would be the people to contact for that.
Thank you. All right, well, that concludes public comment at this time, and we will go ahead and open up for council and staff reports, starting with Kim Douglas.
Okay, on April 20th at the Placer County Economic Development Board, a lot of times it's everybody goes around, they just tell what their community is doing, and it's they're changing the format. They're dividing everybody into 4 groups, and like a breakout group, like a committee, we're going to start doing something. So I think it's a good change. So we're going to be doing something proactive instead of just sitting back and, you know, giving a report. And it's always a struggle for Colfax because we don't have a lot going on. So I think that's an improvement at the Placer County Economic Development Board. Not directly related, I don't think, but I went to the Cinco de Mayo and the opening of the yoga. And so I mentioned that. And also I did talk to the superintendent concerning this $400 million grants that are up for grab. And he liked the idea, and he's going to forward it to one of his colleagues, and they're going to look into it. So he's Andrew, the superintendent's a go get it kind of guy. And so that's positive. He's not the kind to just nod his head and move on. So he's going to take the ball and run with it to some degree. And I think this grant writer here doesn't charge anything unless he succeeds and gets the grant. So that's a win-win. That's it for me.
Awesome. David?
I filled in for you at SACOG. That was cool. Meeting like all the mayors of like Sacramento area, cities and stuff. Most of the time was really just spent on just how do you zone the cities, the areas where there's flood, fire, and there's overlapping, and just listening to all the different communities kind of like say how they're not really in this color and they shouldn't be in that color. But so that, and then the other meeting, Sierra Vista had a meeting, and you know, it was just primarily about beefing up security infrastructure with respect to Wi-Fi, and then just you know, what to do with that building, basically long term, short term, and long term with respect to the tenants, and you know, just the relationship between Sierra Vista and the city, and with respect to, you know, to what extent does the city support Sierra Vista or not, type thing. So those are the 2 meetings I attended.
Awesome, thank you. My main reportable item is that I attended a regional delegacy trip back to Washington, D.C. And we were specifically focused, my team, on wildfire prevention, response, recovery, and how we can try to make those things, you know, a bit more streamlined, whether it's dealing with NEPA or making sure that the U.S. Forest Service roads are maintained to a point where we have ingress and egress. You know, a number of topics. I will say that out of all the meetings we had, I felt that I was really impressed with Padilla's office. They were extremely knowledgeable on the issues, knew exactly what we needed to do next. They were really happy to do follow-up. We've had great conversations since then. The same with Feinstein's office and Kylie's office. So that was very reassuring just to see the proactive action, you know, not just getting lip service. So I felt that it was very productive, and I'm hoping that it can lead to more, you know, productive change going forward. Specifically, I'm hoping that we can see the protection of fire retardant and controlled burning, but, you know, to be determined. One other thing about that trip that I felt was really productive is it's one of the few times that we get everybody from all different parts of the region in the same room multiple times for about a week straight. And everyone is forced to interact and mingle and conversate. And I love it because we get to form a lot of relationships we otherwise wouldn't have had a platform to form. And we're able to go over issues that maybe have been bothering us that we didn't even realize regionally more than one of us were incurring. So it helps us get on the same page. So when we do go to the state or federal government with what our problems are, we can come in on the same page with the same drilled down problems and, you know, try to reduce the number of asks that are coming across the desk. So there's more power in numbers. So overall, I think very productive, and thank you, Kim and David, for filling in for me on the air quality meeting and the SACOG meeting so I could be prepared to go. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll pass it over to you, Wes.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to provide one update for tonight. I've distributed to council already, but for the community's benefit, the CDBG road improvement project, the first phase, we got letter of notice of award after amendment of the application. What that means is once we've amended the application, they will grant us the funding. We'll have 90 days to design the project and have it ready to go out to bid and award. So I'm hopeful this fall, we will actually see some movement to get some of the pavement resurfaced on the streets that we've been discussing for way too long.
Yep.
Yeah.
That didn't sound like a big deal the way you said it, but it's kind of a huge, huge deal.
It's $2.7 million. It's going to resurface Forest Hill Street, Pleasant Street, section of Culver, School Street and West Church Street. So it'll be a good deal. That's all I have for tonight, Madam Mayor.
Awesome. Well, with that, we will jump straight into our business items, starting with item 8A. Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza's resignation, and I will turn it over to Mick and staff for elaboration.
There is a vacancy on the council. Councilmember Mendoza resigned her office effective May 5. And once May 5 came and went, you have only now 4 council members and a vacancy to fill. You have 60 days from May 5th to fill that vacancy, either by calling a special election or by making an appointment. By my calculation, that gives you until Independence Day, July 4th, to fill the vacancy. The law doesn't prescribe a process, except it has to be done in public. Other than that, I've had bodies do it several different ways. Most prominently here, the council solicits input from people who are in the community who are interested. And, they basically submit resumes or fill out an application. Council considers them and makes an appointment. If you can't make the appointment, you must call it a special election. You have 3 meetings between now and July 4th, and that would be on May 28th, June 14, June 28th. So you should probably target one of those days to make your appointment and to go through the process. That's really it. That's really all there is to it. I do have all of the materials that we used last time there was a vacancy. I'll circulate those to council if you want me to. If not, I mean, this staff needs some direction as to how you want to go with this.
I'd like to keep it very simple. I say we give a cutoff date, and anybody may submit a resume by that cutoff date. We all review the resumes, come up with a list of a select number of top candidates. And if we agree on a certain number of candidates that we're willing to interview, we interview the final candidates and come up with an appointment.
Sounds reasonable.
I don't want to incur additional staff time through an application, additional paperwork that really doesn't need to happen. I think a resume is more than sufficient. And if anybody has something they want to specifically convey, they can include that in their resume. So
I do have a notice that we published last time too. I think it was, I'll send that to council, but you probably use the same thing. All it says really is there's a vacancy. Anybody interested, please submit a resume.
okay.
Mick, does I assume that notice talks about where to submit the?
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Where and how.
Okay, so how many days did we do you remember how many days we did last time to allow submissions?
I don't remember. I'll check.
Okay.
I'm thinking 10 days, but I'm not sure that was correct.
Okay. So for the sake of me trying to formulate what this might look like, assuming it's a 2-week period, we allow a 2-week period to submit a resume. How many candidates did they interview? All candidates, or did they do a dwindling down to a select
They
number.
dwindled down to a select number. And as you
Okay.
remember, it's 4 or 6.
Okay,
Either Tom or Will may remember.
Will,
'cause
do either
they were
of you
both there.
remember?
Yeah.
Okay,
Was an ad hoc committee to everybody came up a recommendation.
okay. An ad hoc committee doesn't sound bad. That'll help with us reducing schedule conflicts. I'd like to interview less. I don't feel like we need to interview 8, unless of course somebody is absolutely outstanding and you're dying to interview them, then we can do more than 5, but I think 5 is reasonable.
And we can't get 5 to run for city council.
I know,
So I can't imagine us getting on it.
And that's where I'm kind of looking at this too. So maybe what we can do is we'll take the old notice, maybe say 2-week period for applications.
Okay.
Let's open the period tomorrow if we can put the notice out tomorrow. Do we want to just do 2 people for our interview panel?
No, that's fine.
I'd like to be part of the interviews. Who else would like to be part of interviews?
Oh, I would, or.
Okay. All right, so me and Kim will do the interviews.
Okay.
And we will come back with our recommendations based on those. Let's send the resumes to the entire council in case anybody just is dying to make sure that we have their input. But then, yeah, I think that should be good.
Yeah. Works.
Jim had a question.
And then at this point, I'm going to open it up now that we've kind of laid out some groundwork here. Does anybody have questions, public comment, anything they'd like to contribute to the conversation? Feel free to come up to the podium. Or if we have anybody online. No? Okay, well, if everyone's happy with that, I think we've got direction. I don't think we need any kind of a motion.
No.
Oh, you can come on up. Yeah. Sorry, I have to make sure the whole public at home can hear you too.
Can you just give the basic things like you must get in Colfax?
Yes, that will definitely be part of the notice.
And then come to City Hall or whatever. Can you put that out?
So, and just for the sake of everybody online right now, the requirements to serve on council as an appointee will be the same requirements as being elected. So you will still have to be an 18-year-old registered to vote, live within the city limits, not be convicted of any specific crimes that would make you ineligible for office, and not hold any conflicting offices. So those are the general basic ones. I'm sure I missed some more details. No, that's all.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Technically, just need to be an elector of the city, and an elector and resident of the city, 18 years or older.
So there you go. And that'll all be in the notice. We will make sure we get it on social media. We will put it up on our website, and we'll send an email blast out to everybody who is on our mailing list. So if you know anybody who might be interested, let them know. And if anybody's confused about how to apply, it's going to be really, really simple. I think it's just going to be reach out to our city clerk with a resume. So couldn't get easier than that. You can come down to City Hall and drop off a resume anytime within the next 2 weeks. All right. So if there's no questions, if we're as clear as mud, then I think we'll go ahead and move on to item 8B. And this is the filling of the temporary vacant committee assignments that were left at the time that Marnie resigned. So for the most part on these committee assignments, the alternates moved into the primary positions. There are some new assignments. If anybody on council has any feedback on those assignments. I don't know if everybody got a chance to review those beforehand. Okay.
No,
So yeah, if you guys want to just take a look.
Madam Mayor, we did add to the staff report, there's a couple of committee assignments that I have historically done that need to be filled as well too.
Okay. And, oh, that's right. I had the Pioneer in mind. So Kim, what are your thoughts on Pioneer? Do you personally want to go back to the primary on that? Or do you want to find somebody in our community who has an energy focus?
Yeah, I prefer the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking that might be a good idea, just because it's such a technical savvy board. And it's something that's so new. I would feel comfortable if we did that. I think what's important to me though is that I do not want to be part of the selection for that. Just because even though it's technically not a conflict of interest, because of my role with PG&E, I want to make sure that I'm being really, really careful about that. So you guys will need to do the selection and the appointment for that. But then if you want to remain the alternate, you know.
Yeah, that should.
I think ceremoniously, it's very appropriate that no matter what, you stay in some capacity on that board since it's kind of your baby.
Yeah.
As far as the solid waste local task force, Les, what are your thoughts and recommendations on that coming from experience?
Sean, as the alternate, has attended quite a few of those meetings in the audience. My suggestion would be to see if he'd be willing to take the seat.
Okay.
And until staff changes may happen here and see what other interests there may be from staff internally, because it's generally a staff level position, because it's technical in nature related to the solid waste stuff in the region.
Okay. So for the time being, should we leave Sean as the alternate and have him just attend as the alternate, and then we will later worry about?
That's fine. The next meeting's coming up on May 18th, and I will be here to sit in and fill that. It's a quarterly meeting, so you got plenty of time.
So as far as Pioneer Community Energy, here's what I'm thinking. Why don't we tack that on to the notice for Marnie's position? Say we're also filling that position and we do the exact same thing, but the only difference is you guys do the interviews and I don't even look at the resumes.
Yeah.
And then we can do the appointment at the same time.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, well, if everyone's happy with them, I think we do need a motion to accept the proposal that's in the agenda. Do you guys have any feedback on those?
No, I was just asking if there's anything he doesn't want,
Okay,
but let me know if there is, because I'll tell you anything.
who do I have on? I put Kim, it's just Kim. We're just gonna leave it as just Kim. That one's a very meeting heavy board and I really don't think that at this point I can appoint Sean or David to that, but potentially when we get a new council member, we can reassess and go from there.
Okay, I so move.
Okay, I need to take public comments still too. But if you guys are happy with that list, we can open it to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this item? None? Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I so move.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll move to 8C. This is the establishing a private development service fee ad hoc committee. And if you guys remember, this is the item I brought forward regarding the need for the city to step in emergency situations where private road owners and so on and so forth have not adequately planned ahead or procured necessary services for snow clearing, for example, or other storm mitigation or emergencies that would require plowing. And so this would make it so that the city is able to have a set fee schedule and so on and so forth. But the intent here is to adopt an ad hoc committee to talk about it. So, Mick, do you have any input there? No. All right. No. Obviously, I'd like to be on the ad hoc committee. Okay. All right. Well, if everyone's happy with that, do we have any public comment? Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sorry, Foxy.
You need to get your 10,000 steps in.
The question is, I think there's 7 roads in this city that are considered private and I'm on one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to pay you to get our road plowed, but the rest of the city, just the road down, doesn't have to pay for it.
So when your road was built, there were mitigation fees that would have been required if it was a city road that would have, for future purposes, gone towards the upkeep of that road. And because the developer that created your particular street or your particular area chose to do a private development agreement, those mitigation fees were not collected at that time.
Because my dad got everybody together and paid
And
for
so-
the road.
That's how it works, is much like a homeowners association. The members of that road would be responsible for collecting the fees for a snowplow. We recognize that there is not necessarily a strong level of organization among some of these smaller private roads. And so that's where we want to have some transparency going forward, that if city services are needed, they will be available if everybody wants them or is unable to provide other services. And in advance, everybody knows what those fees will be. That way it's not a shock or a surprise when at the last minute, we do get a request, can you come plow the road? And then we send a bill and everyone's unhappy. We don't want that. So for the sake of transparency, that's really what we're attempting to accomplish. And in no way, shape, or form is the intent here to say the city's just going to come in, take over, and do it for you without your consent or permission. We're going to give you every opportunity to, as a private road association, do what the rights and entitlements are of a private road association. But if the private road association fails and it becomes a public safety concern, we will step in to make sure that that is not an issue. So that's the intent.
Okay.
All right, if we have any other public comment. All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion for us to form the ad hoc committee of myself and David to come back with a recommendation.
Can I second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we can move to good of the order. Kim, do you have anything for good of the order?
Just a generic comment. This will come out later when we interview potential replacements for Marnie, is that I've noticed that city councils seem to function a little bit better if we have a mix of retired and workers. Like right now, we have 4 people that work and 1 retired. That's not a big item, but I just think it's something to consider. A mix of maybe 2 retired and 3 workers is good. But
Diversity is never a bad thing.
yeah, that's all.
David, you got anything?
Yeah, I don't even know if this is the appropriate time, but as it pertains to item 10A on here, I just want to say, thanks, Wes, and congratulations. It's pretty awesome, and you will be obviously missed. And you've done a lot of kick-ass things for the city, and I know a lot of people take those things for granted, but in general, for as long as I've lived here since 2005, I mean, what you've done for the city, like it's been pretty awesome. So. Just want to say thank you and congrats.
Thank you, David. That means a lot. I got to say, this is not easy for me. There's a lot of time invested in this community and I feel connected to it. But I need to do what's right for my family and take an opportunity. I did not seek this position. I just want to be clear about that. I was solicited for it. I wasn't looking. So I apologize and I'm going to do my best to help.
He was ambushed. Let's just be, he got ambushed.
True. Yeah. Anyways, but thank you for the kind words. I really do appreciate it, David.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that strongly. I don't think I've ever shed a tear before when I've received a resignation notice, but I did this time. My husband made fun of me and said I was being broken up with. And that's how it feels a little bit, because the impact and what Wes has done for this town, I think, has been severely underappreciated for a long time. I hate to say that there's big shoes to fill, and if the next person can't fill those shoes, it's going to be seen exactly how much you did for this community. And I hope that those are not the terms under which folks start to realize what you've contributed. But I'm very sad to see you go, but I'm very happy for you. And we always knew this was coming at some point because you can't keep a good person down. So Loomis was very apologetic today when I talked to them, but they weren't.
I appreciate that, Trinity. Wait until you guys see the spreadsheet I'm putting together for you.
All right. Do you have anything for good of the order?
I do not. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to close the open session at this time being. I'm going to open public comment for the closed session item at this time. Does anybody have any public comment on item 10A before I close off for closed session?
Tom Bonham, I'm a resident. And congratulations, Wes, on your new gig. I don't envy the council's next task. This is going to be really tough. I went through it. One of the things that I look for with a city council, I'm talking about the next manager, is somebody's going to stay. And there's been a huge turnover in the city, and it's going to be very tough because Wes has been here so long that he knows stuff that he can just, he can jump in the snowplow and plow snow. So I just wanted to state that, and let's look for somebody that is going to stay, and somebody that, will stay here a while. I know this is kind of a stepping stone job for city managers. They always move up. They hardly ever move to here. Mark Miller being the exception, he came here to retire, it turns out. And when he told me he was leaving, I was like really devastated, because we had to spend so much time that my last year on the council looking for a new manager. So anyway, keep your eye on the ball and good luck.
Thank you.
Will Stockman, 525 Pine Street, Colfax. The only mistake we made when we hired Wes is we didn't hire him sooner. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right. Do we have any other comments on item 10A? Any online?
We do have an online comment. I'm not sure if this pertains to Foxy's earlier comment, but Alyssa Egan states again, community development is the key to receiving help from neighbors. That's how it is all working out here in Cape Horn. We have templates to help with that, also art and music.
Wonderful. All right, with that, basically what's going to happen now is we are going to go into closed session. So we are going to ask everybody to exit the room. We are going to close the doors and we will reconvene after closed session. We will report if there's items to report on, and then we will adjourn the meeting as a whole. So you are welcome to stick around nearby so you're able to come back after. That is up to you. But we will now go ahead and take a 5-minute recess so that we can clear the room for closed session. Thank you.